Okay. Abigail turns into a tooth fairy. When trouble comes along, how will she face it? When Abigail's first tooth fell out, she put it under her pillow. She was excited to see the tooth fairy. As Abigail slept, the tooth fairy climbed through the window to take the tooth. The tooth fairy lifted her pillow and noticed that the tooth was rotten, so she collected the tooth and left a note for her. The note said, "Please take care of your tooth. They're precious." When Abigail woke up, she was sad to find out her tooth was gone. She had no money under her pillow. 2 years later, as Abigail went up the stairs on the way to her room, she walked by her brother's room and noticed his door was open. She peeked in, and Abigail saw her little brother squealing in excitement. He was holding his first tooth in his hand. He was ecstatic. He shouted, "I'm going to get money from the tooth fairy." Abigail busted through the door and screamed the 5 words that would cause her little brother's excitement to leave his face and be replaced by tears. She shouted, "I hate the tooth fairy." Saying that you hate the tooth fairy is a real no-no in fairyland. Abigail went to sleep that night, and the tooth fairy who came to collect her brother's tooth paid Abigail a visit. The tooth fairy leaned over Abigail's bed and pulled out a pouch of dust from her pocket. The tooth fairy sprinkled the dust over Abigail's sleeping body. Abigail woke up in a chamber in a random place. She had confusion written all over her face. She wondered where she was. The only thing in the room was a door. She wondered if it was unlocked. Abigail stepped out of her chamber and walked to the door. When she opened the door, she saw a huge tooth statue. She quickly realized that she was in fairyland. Abigail stood there confused. Just then a tooth fairy came up to her. She welcomed her to fairyland. The tooth fairy introduced herself as Evelyn. Abigail had one question to ask Evelyn: "Why am I here?" Evelyn explained to Abigail that this was the only way to explain the facts of fairyland. Evelyn gave Abigail a tour of the factory so Abigail would be familiar with the factory. Abigail was taken on many adventures outside of the factory. She really enjoyed having wings and being able to fly. She was able to visit many houses. She even helped with picking up teeth from under pillows. It was Abigail's last night as a tooth fairy, but she did not know that. As she fell asleep, she thought about how she enjoyed being a tooth fairy. She no longer hated tooth fairies. Abigail woke up in her own room. She was so sad and reminiscing the best moments of her life. She will forever be grateful for being to experience that and know that tooth fairies are in fact real.